Hi guys, so for this week's topic for my video, I decided to focus on assessments. Assessments aren't something I have a lot of experience in. In my bachelor's degree field placement, I only did one assessment by myself and it was over the phone, so there was no real face-to-face interaction. I recently got to sit in on an assessment at my field placement and it was a totally different experience. It was a lot different than doing it over the phone, obviously. So I sat in on an assessment for a 28-year-old male who was just out of recovery services and rehab. And he's looking to get assistance with pretty much everything. He's looking for assistance for a living situation. Right now he's placed in a motel. He's looking for help with money, food, education, pretty much everything. The assessment team at my field placement, they do assessments for all of the clients before they can receive medication or therapy. The assessment is pretty long. It's probably about 15 pages total of information. So it hits on all different things like past medical and mental health history to family, education, past jobs, risk factors, past trauma, all different stuff like that. So it's kind of just gets a huge look at the client so that we know what we're going to be dealing with. So the assessment, the woman that I sat in on that was doing the assessment, she asked all these questions and she had her computer, the screen up, and she just kind of typed them in. She wasn't too involved with the computer. She didn't just type things in. She did make conversation, which I think is good and important, instead of just asking questions and entering stuff. The client being assessed, he had a lot of past trauma from sexual abuse to physical abuse, substance abuse. I mean, he pretty much has experienced all kinds of different problems in his life. And he was probably a really good person to watch being assessed because he had so many different experiences and problems. My supervisor had told me before going in to watch the assessment how everybody kind of has their own style when doing these assessments. Some people just use the computer and enter the information as they go. Some people kind of don't make conversation, just enter things. And then there's some people that just write out an outline with the questions and the areas that they want to cover, and then they fill it in later. So when I did my assessment in my bachelor's degree, I kind of was doing it over the phone, so kind of took away from the computer thing. I just wrote down what I needed to gather from the person, and then I entered on the computer later. In my opinion, I think that it's probably, unless you're super familiar with the assessment that they have there, it's probably easier to use the computer and just make sure that you're giving the client attention too, instead of just looking at the computer. But I'm wondering what you guys think. Do you think that having the computer open at the time is kind of distant, or do you think it's helpful? And I'm also wondering if you guys have ever done any assessments. I've only done the one, and my supervisor is actually changing roles at the agency, so she's going to be a part of the crisis intervention team, which they do a lot of crisis assessments, and they assess people coming out of the hospital. So I'll be seeing a lot of that, and I'll probably be doing a couple assessments on my own. So I'm just wondering if you guys have had any experience with assessments, any tips, any kind of thoughts like that. And that's pretty much it. So curious to hear your thoughts.